So Act 2 was pretty sweet, you know. For Act 2 always flies by because everything's, like, set in motion right now. So Masquerade was awesome. I really enjoyed seeing so many people in the costumes, so you get to see some of the costumes you didn't normally see because there was, like, 5 of each. And the people, like, on the walls, too, and the boxes were, like, part of it, too, so yay, pretty cool. I didn't like Christine's dress simply because it looked like it wasn't done. It was also super bright compared to everything else I've seen, and I don't know if they like borrowed Katie Hall's new dress or something, but she posted a picture that looked like it was the same colors and it just wasn't finished yet. But she didn't have the sleeve puffs, and that made it look kind of like prom dress, or just weird that it was like sleeveless and strapless and didn't have anything. Like the Broadway version just has like sleeves that connect, and then the West End version has like the top and then the poofy things that are just on her arms. But it just looked weird that she didn't have anything. So that was kind of strange. Again, still not a fan of Raoul. I think he just had too much Love Never Dies Raoul in him. Like, I could believe that he was going to turn into a psychopathic, abusive alcoholic from the way he acted, because he looked like he needed some serious anger management classes, because he just was so frustrated with Christine, and it was in like an angry, frustrated way. It just wasn't the way I expected or like the way Raoul's act. It was like he wasn't sympathetic with her being afraid of everything. I get that he was tired of her trying to hide it, and that is frustrating, but just the way, I don't know, the way he played it, I just wasn't a fan. He was so angry all the time. He just looks, also his eyeliner was like super distracting. I don't know if anybody else noticed that, but that was just really random. Red Death isn't as cool when he doesn't walk down the whole staircase. Obviously, a blocking sacrifice they had to make because of the space. So I can understand that. That's not a big deal. Notes 2, again, pretty standard as to how they perform it. I don't think they did it for Notes 2, but I really liked in Notes 1 when they had the Phantom superimposed writing on the top projection. That was pretty cool. It was kind of movie-esque, I think, 2004, whatever, when they were showing him, but it worked because it's the stage version, and that was kind of cool. Yeah, Notes 2, funny, get some laughs, serious because it's the whole plot thickens sort of thing. His Raoul was a lot better, I felt, in Twisted Every Way, when he kind of, because first it seemed like, oh, let's just give Christine, let's make her do the opera so I can outsmart the Phantom sort of thing. And then once she started freaking out, I think he sort of realized that he does love her and he is putting her through a lot and she's going through a lot. So he seemed like he finally sort of got it by that point, that he was needed to be supportive and stuff and caring. So I felt like that was an improvement. The whole Don Juan practice scene, I'm just not a fan of. I know it's a transition scene, and it has some funny parts where they all lean into Piangi, or the guy keeps laughing every time he messes it up, you know. So it's some good stuff. It's one of those scenes that I don't really mind if they skipped or not. But the graveyard, I didn't like it that it was a projection on the back. Obviously there's limitations, but Sierra's wishing was probably one of the best I've ever heard. It was fantastic. And I will say, I will rant, and not rant because it's not negative, I will praise her to the ends of the earth that she was an amazing Christine in this, but personally I still don't think she should have been cast, which sounds really dumb because she was amazing and stuff, but I still think she wasn't a West End Christine. And since it was a celebration of the West End show, I think a Raoul should have been cast that had been in the show, and I think a Christine should have been cast that had been in the show in London. Okay, I get that she played Christine in Love Never Dies, I don't count that, and she played Christine in Vegas, which is not in London, so I think they had at least 5 Christines in the chorus. Katie Hall was there, Sophia was there, Tabitha was there, the new Christine understudy I think was there, Katie Traherne, the old Christine understudy, and Rachel Barrel was there, and I can't think, Celia, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce her name, I don't remember what it is. was there too. 7, Christine's. So definitely there was options. So I don't know why Sierra got cast. Despite that, I think she was amazing. It's just something that I feel was wrong. It'd be like, I would have loved if Hugh Panaro could have been in it. He's a great Phantom, but he's not a West End Phantom, so if he got cast, I would have been like, wow, that's really weird, because, you know, they have some good Phantoms over there. Anyway, Wishing, moving to tears. I thought it was amazing. She just is a fantastic actress, and she makes you feel everything that you're supposed to feel during that song. I'm glad they kept the trio in for Wandering Child. That's a thing that I like in the West End version that Broadway doesn't do. This was just super scary because every time they tried to run off in a direction, and fire would shoot up where they were trying to run, which was kind of cool, but then it was like, oh, he ran out of fire or something because they got away. But still, I thought that was really effective at showing his power and his anger and stuff, so I really liked that. What's after that? Oh, the guard scene. Somebody said that they were really upset that they didn't use the same guard secure voices. They actually used different ones, which they're the same in like every show, so it was kind of surprising that they didn't use the pre-recorded version. I mean, I think they pre-recorded this other version, but they didn't use the traditional pre-recorded version, which was interesting and kind of sad because I'm so used to hearing those voices. I also think we missed we saw the I'm Here thing where it's echoing and you could hear it echo, but you didn't see like when he jumps into box 5 and like swooshes his cape. So that was kind of sad because I really like that part, and I really like being in the audience because I know it's coming and people don't, so everyone jumps and screams and it's really funny. And then Don Juan Triumphant, they dropped the apple. That was really funny. I've never seen that happen. I mean, it probably happens all the time because she just throws it and he tries to catch it, whatever. So that was funny that she dropped it. You know, lots of people from the show. Tabitha, I think, was in that scene. And then Point of No Return, which is like my favorite song in the show most of the time because it's just so emotional. So with that, there's the whole Ramin kind of did what I like what the Dano Jones does, is he kind of took on the accent. So it was like, is it him? Is it Pianji? I don't know. So that was really cool. I'm glad they kept the West End blocking for it because I was afraid, since they changed some of the other West End things like the cadenza and Think of Me, and they changed the blocking in like Music of the Night because some of the stuff was just shifted or whatever. I was afraid they were going to change a lot of other stuff, and they didn't, so I'm glad they kept that in there. I mean, it's not major blocking, it's just like instead of putting his hand on her shoulder when she drinks, he turns her face back to him, sort of thing. So that was good. She was really brilliant in that song. The only thing I wish is that she'd given herself more time to react to touching the mask with her face, because I felt like she just jumped away and did it, and usually like Gina Beck or somebody would have pronounced it more. Gina Beck could have been it. I mean, I know she was in the show, but I know a lot of people were like voting for her too. But if you watch any like video that somehow made it to the internet of her, she like feels that and she backs off and goes, and then he turns around and grabs her, and so that was, or John Owen Jones, and I think Howard McGillin does it too, even though he's a Broadway Phantom, where they feel the mask and he like, it's like, oh, he like puts his hand up, like, oh shoot, my mask, she felt it. So I missed that. And by this time, Sierra's wig, I think they should have replaced it before Act 2, because it kept getting straighter and straighter. By the end, just the middle section in the back was just completely straight, which was understandable by the time she got to Final Layer, because she's been going through a lot, but I noticed it like in the middle of Act 2, or actually at the end of Act 1, I was like, wow, her wig is getting really straight. Nuance. So, Final Layer. Final Layer was fantastic. Maybe because it was so personal, the whole show, because you're so close, I just really enjoyed all their performances. I thought Ramin's Act 2 was a lot better than his Act 1 vocally. I think he just got it back. And it was intense. It was a very intense Final Layer. I know there's been a big debate about whether he should have choked her or not when Raoul came. Speaking of which, when Raoul came, I missed, obviously he couldn't jump off the Travelator this time because there would be no trapdoors. But I was not a fan of, I think it was Liz Robertson as Madame Giry, and I just was not a fan of her voice. I know she's played it before, and she played Madame Giry in Love Never Dies, so another Love Never Dies casting there. I just personally have heard better Madame Giry's, and it's not like it ruined the show for me, because she's not a really big, like, deal breaker. But that just was a tidbit. So there's that whole should he have choked her, should he not have choked her thing. I've seen fandoms move towards violence before, like John Owen Jones almost hits her like 3 times, Gary Maurer does too, so it's not unheard of, and he's a violent person, he's a murderer, he's a psychopath, it wouldn't be surprising. I think a couple people have problems with him harming her voice, that would have, and some people are just like, no, he wouldn't do that. But if you think about it, LaRue Eric, you know, face, nails on the face, dragging her by the hair, you could go that far with the interpretation, so I'm totally okay with that. And it just was, I wasn't sure how they were going to do the noose. I thought it was weird when Ramin was walking up the stairs and came back with the noose, but it worked anyway. Sierra was really emotional when she said goodbye. The frickin' monkey box kills me. So that was really sad, and I loved when she kissed his hand, even though you could see the spit in her mouth. Like, that was whatever. But just the kiss, the hand, and her looking back and singing part of the All I Ask of You reprise, and then Raul, like, reaching forward her and coaxing her to come with him instead of using the boat was pretty effective. And I didn't really get any, like, there was sort of a maybe hints of a Love Never Dies vibe there, but I think it just was she was torn because she wanted to stay but knew she couldn't, and I think that's what it was. Not like a I'm gonna go sleep with him later. It was a really just genuinely torn about her decision. Like everyone should feel torn. You should feel like not depressed, but it's not a happy ending, but you know it's the right ending because, like, look, he just choked her subconsciously. Like, he didn't even realize he was doing it, and then all of a sudden he was like, oh shoot, I'm choking her. Like, he could go far with that and potentially harm her a lot. He's not a stable person for her to be with, and Raul is, and Raul genuinely loves her. So I think she realizes that she has to leave him, and he realizes she has to leave, but it's just sad that they have to deal with that. So that's the show. Really good. I'm glad they kept the chair disappearance, because when they got rid of the mirror bride, I didn't know where she was going to be, because usually the doll's like on the chair and he like throws it off when he's angry. So I'm glad they kept that in there. And the end was such a surprise! Not the ending of the show, but when Angela Weber came out and brought out Michael Crawford and Sarah Brightman to sing. I will be the first to tell you Sarah Brightman is not my favorite Christine at all, but I was super happy to hear all of the Phantoms singing, with the exception of Peter Jobeck, who is going to be replacing John Owen Jones in March. He was the one on the right with, he's like the youngest looking one, and the very nasally kind of not Phantom-y voice, I thought. Everyone else was amazing. It's not fair to put him on stage with Anthony Warlow, John Owen Jones, and Tom Wilkinson and expect him to sing with Sarah Brightman as great as them. So that just was kind of not fair at all to him, and kind of, he was disappointing. Everyone else was fantastic, so kind of a letdown to know he's going to be the new Phantom. So I don't know, maybe in a couple months he'll have improved. If not, I know his contract's only for 6 months, so, and he didn't get a whole year contract because he was afraid that the role would be too demanding. So if he's not up to the standards of the West End Phantoms, he won't be there long. So let me know what you thought about the concert in general, any of the Phantoms, any of the things I've said, what you think about Peter Jobeck, or if you've seen John Owen Jones, what you think about him, anything you saw that was a really cool part of the interpretation, because I love talking about it, and I can't wait to get it on DVD eventually and watch it over and over again, because I loved it. Despite my not loving the casting or some of the character portrayals, like Raul especially, overall, I loved it. I will gush over it for ages, because Sierra was perfect, and I loved it. So there, I can still not like things about the show, and it's still wonderful because it's Phantom, and I just love Phantom, and I'm so happy that we have something that's this close to the stage show that will be recorded and distributed so we can share it with people, and I hope it runs for 25 more years. So let me know what you think.